The story of the 1983 Jefferson nickel begins much earlier than the year stamped on the coin because its history is rooted in the evolution of American coinage and the long legacy of the Jefferson nickel series, introduced in 1938 when the United States Mint sought a new design to replace the Buffalo nickel, which had become difficult to strike clearly over its years in circulation. The new design featured the portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse created by artist Felix Schlag, whose work was selected through a national competition. Schlag's design captured a classical left-facing profile of Jefferson accompanied by the word liberty and the motto, "In God We Trust," while the reverse featured a detailed depiction of Monticello Jefferson's historic home in Virginia, along with the denomination and the national motto, E Pluribus Unum. By the time we arrive at 1983, the Jefferson nickel had already been a familiar sight in the pockets of Americans for nearly half a century. And the year itself stood at an interesting moment in U.S. minting history. The early 1980s had seen economic shifts, rising metal costs, and an overall increase in demand for circulating coinage. This context shaped the production of coins in 1983, a year in which no official mint sets were released by the United States Mint due to budget cuts and changes in their annual product strategy. The absence of official mint sets meant that many high-quality, uncirculated 1983 coins, including nickels, were not preserved in large numbers, making well-struck examples particularly desirable to collectors decades later. Production in 1983 took place at two primary facilities, Philadelphia and Denver, and these mints were responsible for creating the circulation strike nickels that would eventually travel across the country in commerce. The Philadelphia Mint produced coins without a mint mark, as was tradition until the mid-1980s, while the Denver Mint marked its coins. With the familiar D collectors today, often note that due to the lack of mint sets, the 1983 Jefferson nickel is somewhat challenging to find in pristine condition. The coins were minted for everyday use, meaning that most entered circulation immediately and experienced wear, making high-grade examples both interesting and historically significant. When examining the characteristics of the 1983 nickel, it continues the classic Jefferson design that had been used for decades. The obverse still displayed the well-known portrait with Jefferson's profile carefully sculpted by Schlag, while the inscriptions remained unchanged. The reverse featured Monticello with its architectural details, including the steps, the columns, and the dome, which were sometimes difficult to strike sharply, depending on the coin's die state or level of wear. Many collectors look specifically for strong strikes on the steps of Monticello, which is known as the full steps designation, and any 1983 nickel with crisp and complete steps becomes a standout piece because full steps coins in this year are harder to locate due to the circulation-focused production quality. The year 1983 also reflects broader economic and cultural themes in the United States, inflationary pressures, changes in consumer habits, and increasing reliance on coin-operated technologies such as vending machines, all maintained the nation's need for reliable coinage systems that depended on accurate coin. Weights and sizes made the nickel's consistent characteristics essential, leading the U.S. Mint to uphold its alloy composition of 75% copper and 25% nickel, producing a durable piece capable of lasting decades in circulation. Some 1983 nickels still appear in pocket change today, a testament to their durability and widespread production. Collectors examining 1983. Jefferson nickels often pay attention to die varieties and minor errors, which add additional layers of interest to the year. Some nickels from 1983 show die cracks filled, dies over-polished, dies and off-center strikes. These variations occur naturally during large production runs, and because 1983 saw heavy output for circulation, many of these small minting quirks managed to slip into everyday commerce. Without official mint sets, collectors rely heavily on rolls bags and uncirculated coin hoards to discover these varieties, each offering a glimpse into the minting process of the early 1980s. Another important aspect of the 1983 nickel story is the transitional period in coin collecting culture that took place during the decade. The 1980s saw a growing interest in modern coinage, fueled by hobby publications, coin shows, and the expanding role of third-party grading services. These companies brought new standards and consistency to the evaluation of coins, and this movement helped elevate the importance of coins like the 1983 nickel in high grade. The idea that a common coin from a regular circulation year could hold premium value if preserved exceptionally well became more widely accepted and encouraged many collectors to take a closer look at coins that had previously been overlooked. The Jefferson nickel in 1983 also reflects the long-standing symbolism of Thomas Jefferson himself as one of America's founding fathers, representing ideals of democracy, scientific curiosity, and architectural brilliance. His presence on the nickel had remained unchanged for decades, and during this period his legacy continued to be reinforced in schools, museums, and national narratives. This cultural continuity gave the Jefferson nickel an added layer of patriotic familiarity, making it one of the most recognized coins in circulation throughout the United States. As the decade progressed, the coins struck in 1983 continued to circulate widely, and their role in everyday commerce helped countless Americans make purchases, ride buses, operate payphones, and use vending machines. The nickel remained an essential denomination, and the 1983 edition contributed to that legacy unnoticed by the general public, but later appreciated by numismatists seeking to preserve pieces of monetary history. Today, a detailed examination of the 1983 Jefferson nickel reveals much more than a small metal disc. It reflects economic conditions, minting challenges, collector interests, national identity, and the evolving designs of U.S. coinage all tied together in a single year of production. For a documentary, you could expand this narrative by continuing into deeper subtopics, such as the technological processes used at the mint during the early 1980s, comparisons between 1983 nickels and those from surrounding years, the evolution of the Jefferson nickel series leading into the 2004 and 2005 Westward Journey designs, and the eventual 2006 redesign featuring the forward-facing portrait. You can also explore how the absence of 1983 mint sets influenced the collector market, the role of coin grading companies in assigning value, and stories of rare full-step examples discovered by collectors. All these elements together transformed the history of the 1983 Jefferson nickel into a rich and engaging long-form documentary narrative